This pocket change is all about communications. And I say that knowing how frustrating it is when people say that change is just comms and training. But we know that nobody who is actually serious about delivering change ever says this out loud. But we can't gloss over the fact that comms is crucial in getting this right. And remember, we're talking to three different parts of brains, we're talking to different levels of engaged people, we're talking about different experiences, different expectations, and different levels of baggage. It's not just a sea of faces staring back at you, it is more than that. Regardless of whether the up and coming changes are positive or negative, it pretty much leads to people emotionally reaction. Regardless of whether the upcoming changes are positive or negative, it pretty much always leads people to react emotionally, even if that response is apathy. And from experience, and probably somebody else's clever research and science, when bad news comes out of the blue, we tend to see it as even worse than it actually is. So, what we want to be able to do is to create change in a really structured way. We want to be able to help changes land with our people by addressing 5 things that I really think you need to know before you get going. Be real. When it comes to talking to your people about the changes they are facing into, be real and do not overpromise. Inflated statements turn people off and lead to mistrust of an entire message, and it will catch you out big time. Whatever you say, your people have the right to hold you to account over it. When change happens, it will leave voids between what is actually happening today and the potential reality of tomorrow. People will fill that void with whatever they think the new reality will be. Try and fill that void before it is created, even if the filler is no news today. One of my favourite things to know and to think about when we're talking to our people is to remember it's nothing to do with you. Unfortunately, when something is hard to communicate, it's easier to talk about yourself or to use language that you're accustomed with using. This happens a lot during heavy people change, where a line manager might start a hard conversation by declaring that this is really hard for me. And that might be true, but imagine how bloody hard it is for the person receiving your message. It's about them, not you. I harp on a lot about listening, but genuinely, you actually need to listen. You need to provide the opportunities for candid feedback. You need to seek those opportunities. Create large meetings, have one-to-ones, develop surveys, create forums, do an all hands. I don't care. Support you in how they want to be engaged. Change cannot happen with your door closed, so open it up to everybody. And one of my, well, maybe my second biggest lesson is just because you're going to say something doesn't mean it will happen. The I say so, so it is leadership days are gone. People have a desire to change. They have to have that desire to change. If you tell them to change, you will create a reactive culture and you're likely to trigger that primitive brain, which will see people running out of your offices thinking that you are a lion. But bear this in mind when you're creating comms, creating those messages, having those conversations. Creating this message, filling that void, doesn't have to be a minefield. There's a really simple structure that we work with that recaps, reinforces, and resets during change. Remember, starting off with what you said last time. Not a total recap, not war and peace, but something that can ground your people in the change context. Refer to the last time you were together. Refer to the topics that you talked about. Refer to the questions that were answered. Understand before you open your mouth, what do you need your people to get? What do you need them to take away? Outline these at the start, cover them in the middle, and recap them as part of your close. Think about that call to action. What do you need them to do? This can be as simple as we want you to listen and ask questions. It could be a request to sign up to training or to join a workshop session. Be specific about the action, Include times, dates, and methods. Be clear on what happens next. After comms, one of the first questions is so often, what next? If you know the next steps, share them. If you don't, say that you don't. Be clear when new news will come and what you expect people to do with that. And then think about what maybe your people need. Outline the support or opportunities that are available. Be open to questions and comfortable with a bit of silence. A great technique is to share something you want them to hear or to be reassured about, but disguise it as a question asked outside of the room or after the last session. A good way to start it is by going, I received a question after the last session and I thought it would be helpful to share the answer with everybody. Or a prompt that gives some clarity. After the last workshop, I was challenged on my assumption around this. This is what I shared back. Start the question session yourself. Give those prompts, create that conversation, and help people be a part of your world. And then I want to see this structure in everything. It might take a bit of fun out of impromptu comms, which, to be honest, I wouldn't like to see anyway, especially not on a Friday at 5 to 5. But it will get your people used to how you are talking about the changes. It will reinforce key messages. It will provide stability. How you land these messages is up to you. Delivery is always unique to the person delivering it, but I would suggest some experimentation and definitely doubling up on your techniques. Human to human comms is always a great way to demonstrate confidence in your change and to treat people like they're real, not just statistics. But not everyone can be there, so set up a video link for people to join remotely, record the session, or get support to facilitate questions. But get it in the diary in advance. Nothing screams danger than a last-minute urgent face-to-face meeting. Just don't do it. Email, well, is part of our world now, but for me it should always be a follow-up or a no new news. Landing something super important on an email will set you up for it to be missed. Email should be your second in command. You may have to have multiple face-to-face meetings where you'll focus on progress and intermediate updates, real dialogue and conversation about what you are doing, but you'll share the outputs to those in the room or those who missed it on email. But please stop sending emails on a Friday. No matter how important it is never that important.